Welcome to another segment of Gamer Station, and today I've got an interesting survival game for you. Now, when you say survival game in the gaming industry, you basically think zombie survival, and there's a lot of those. Zombies have been in trend for many years, and basically some people are getting a little bit sick of the whole zombie thing. And if you are one of those people and you're looking for a survival game, then this might be one for you. It's called The Long Dark. And it's by Hinterland Games, and basically you are a pilot who crash lands in this frozen wasteland, and basically you have to figure out how you're going to survive with practically nothing from the wilderness and from what you can scavenge from the buildings and people around you. So basically the game is still in development, it's still in alpha, but it's making some waves and a lot of people are starting to take notice. And you should probably as well if you're into survival games. Now you can buy into the alpha and start playing right now. It's not completely finished, there's some missing features, but you can get into it for just over 30 ringgit, and that's not so bad. But let's see if the game is heading in a direction that's going to make it worth the price.
First, there was a brilliant light. Then, a great and silent darkness. People ran scared. Those that could took shelter. Many suffered beyond reason. Now, most are gone. But who will bear witness to this long dark?
So what's the gameplay of The Long Dark really like? Well, you basically start in the middle of a frozen wasteland and you just have nothing, no directions. You have some supplies, maybe a match or two. You got the clothes on you at least, and basically you have no direction. Currently there's no objective. There's a bit of a storyline, but there's not that much going on. But you do have the wilderness to explore, and you can walk around and you can try forage for resources and food, and you can try hunting, though that's a little tricky at the start. More likely you're going to look for abandoned buildings or watchtowers or huts or houses that have been left alone for quite some time, and you're going to scavenge for food, for example, like candy bars left over in the medicine cabinet and things like that. But generally, if you're looking for a game that's really full of explosions and running away from the zombies and you're going to have your brains eaten out, well, that's not what The Long Dark is about. The Long Dark is trying to be a true survival game where it really is about surviving in the wilderness. There's even a warning. They're trying to be a simulation as much as possible. There's a warning when you start up the game where it says this is not a replacement for actual wilderness survival training. And I would agree with that, but it might be a fun game anyway. Now, the big question is if it's going in a direction that's good or bad. Now, this was announced a while ago, maybe earlier this year is when it really started to pick up and everyone started watching. And now that it's in early access alpha, which you may or may not agree with early access sort of policies, but you can buy into it, you can try the game out, and if anything you can check it out and watch its development to see if it really adds in the features that you're looking forward to. And currently it's got plenty of backing, plenty of support, and I really hope it does turn out to be one of those true survival games. So, is The Long Dark really a game for you? Well, it kind of depends. I haven't really seen this sort of survival game since maybe the 90s or maybe the early 2000s, because it kind of went out of style, this sort of hardcore-ish realistic survival game without zombies, ever since the whole zombie and vampire thing came along. But it actually reminds me, I don't know if any of you know that, there's a game back from the 90s called Biosys, and it was played a lot like the game Myst, but it had survival elements. So imagine that sort of a point-and-click puzzle adventure where you have survival elements, where you gotta drink, you gotta eat, you gotta stay warm. And The Long Dark is kind of like that. When you're wandering through the wilderness, it actually says you're getting cold, you're getting colder, it's freezing, and then you have this sort of conditions bar, and your condition basically gets less and less and less until you basically die out in the wilderness. So The Long Dark, it is hinting at the theme of the game. It's gonna be dark at night, and it's sort of set in this sort of subarctic or Antarctic region where it's probably going to be dark for a long time. And the whole concept, the philosophy behind the game is that what will you do to survive? And it's going to put you in what they hope morally ambiguous situations where you are in a home and maybe you'll hear someone at the door screaming to be let in. Do you let them in or not? Because if you help them, they might do unpleasant things, or you could, they might help you as well. So that's where the game is going. And basically, we need to keep an eye on the development to make sure it goes in that direction. So if you don't want to invest the 30 plus ringgit into the game now and try out the game straight away, you should at least check it out and keep an eye on how it's going. And if it does end up where you want it to go, then you can open up your wallet and buy a game that's rather unique. Which I have to mention, just as a side note, the art style of the game is surprisingly not photorealistic. It's actually very stylized, almost vectorish, and that I really do like a lot.
Alas, we're at the end of another episode of Gadget Nation, so allow me to get off the staircase. But don't worry, we're back same time, same place next week with more new content just for you, reviews, news, etc. In the meantime, big shout out to Beam here in Bandar Sri Damansara for hosting this great coffee joint. Come check it out if you have time. But I'm out of here. My name is Adam Carruthers. Till next time.